Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I just finished the sequel, The Houses October Built 2, Hellbent. And wow, that's all I have to say. Wow. Wow in a bad way. And we'll get into it though. We will get into it. Because first off, I should have a disclaimer. I was a little mean to the first movie, and maybe I shouldn't have been that mean. Maybe I was too harsh. It really did, because the thing is, it really didn't reflect how I thought about the movie. It's just a meh movie. It's like a meh, and so it's like, how do you reflect that? Well, for me, I get angry because I don't like it when movies are just meh. Because me as a filmmaker, I'm thinking about the potential there, and I'm thinking about, like, God, there's all these things you could do with this idea and with these characters and with the story, and you chose to do that. Like, that's what I'm thinking. And also, the lunch was terrible. I ate lunch at about 4 or 5 or 6, and the lunch was so disgusting. It really reflected in my review. And so, if you'd like to know what I thought about the food, that tone in that review is what I thought. Like, I was genuinely extremely irritated by that disgusting food that I ate. It was, and you know what was worse? I had a steak and mushroom sandwich for lunch, and all these mushrooms and things, and it's like, okay, I'm done with mushrooms. I just had them for lunch, and then guess what? Had meatloaf with mushroom gravy for dinner. Like, you guys wonder why I'm in a bad mood in these reviews. Like, that was torture. Like, mushroom this, mushroom that. Like, I could just imagine. I mean, you should make a horror movie about, like, a community of people who only eat mushrooms, and like they have like some sort of a obsession with mushrooms, and they force you to eat mushrooms all the time. They make toothpaste out of mushrooms. Like, that would be scary. That would be really terrifying. And maybe at the end, like, you've eaten so many mushrooms that you're turning into a mushroom too, and then you become someone else's toy. Let's just say that. Maybe Brandy's toy. She can use you as a toy. A mushroom man. He came from the mushroom community, and it could be called the mushrooms that the mushroom cult built or something. Like, I don't know. I'm just. This sequel was so bad. It was bad in like a disappointing type of way, because it felt like they, once again, it was exactly like Subspecies, where, sorry about that, I just feel a little constricted with the talking. uh, uh, it had the exact same problems that Subspecies had, where it felt like they listened to the critiques of the first movie, but then they forgot about all the good things that they did in the first movie. And so it's like a switcheroo. Like, you watch one and you have problems with that, and then you watch two and you have your problems with that. And neither of them is a complete experience. Neither of them is a completely satisfying experience. And I think that one big issue that, even the guy, there was a guy, I can't remember his name, and I don't know if he wants me to say his name. He's the one who recommended the first movie. Well, I don't know if he knew this or not, but these people, they made a documentary before they made the first movie called The House is October Built, and it was just a documentary about going to haunted houses, and you could tell, Like, that's what these movies feel like. They just feel like vlogs. They feel like vlog movies. They don't feel like real movies. And so I think that like that's a big thing right there. Like, I wish I'd have known that. Like, it makes total sense now because the first one, it 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 had this like weird feeling where it's like, you guys know this is a movie, right? Like, you don't have to do this type of like this like vlog type of thing. Like, they're like eating all this junk food, and they're, just just the way it's shot. It's just totally non film like it's just not cinematic at all in any way. And so nothing really happens, and there's nothing scary, and it's not really a horror movie. The second one, that is. The first one, I would say, too, another good thing is that the second one was so bad that it made me reevaluate the first one and say, it's still not a great movie at all, but it is way better than this trash, that's for sure. I mean, the first scare in this movie happens like, God, I hated this movie. But I sound so nice because I didn't have a bad lunch. See, that's the secret. If you want to be a good film reviewer, you eat good food before you do film reviews. That is the complete secret. Well, okay, I guess agendas will fuck you up either way, but a good trick is to eat something good before you do a video and not eat like garbage from McAllister's Deli. But the first scare happens like an hour into this movie, and it was like, it's just so awkward, like just watching this and just feeling like it gives me a headache almost, because it's like, this isn't a real movie. This is just like a vlog of you guys with this like kind of story in the background. A similar thing is if you've ever heard of Around the Town, the movie part 2. And now, I like the first Around the Town movie. It was made by Wet Movie 1, of course, and but the second one was complete garbage. And the reason why was because it didn't feel like a movie. It just felt like a vlog of, and they had this like stupid story where it was like, Gabe had this money, and like, oh, where'd he get the money? And oh, is someone after him? It's like this really stupid, like, oh God. I'm glad I didn't review that movie. I actually bought a Blu-ray of that movie, and it's literally, I wouldn't even consider it a movie. But the funny thing is that people said that Super Dumbasses, they said, they asked if that was a movie. Well, it's funny because you have movies like that, Around the Town 2, and you have movies like this, The House is October Built, Part 2. I mean, this is not a movie. This is I don't know what this is. I mean, what were they thinking? You got these. Okay, let's talk about what they did good first. Let's be very nice and very kind. So, first off, I complained in the first movie about the characters, and the characters are trash. Well, in the second one, they really fleshed them out in a way where they actually acknowledge the fact that, like, no one cares about these guys. They just care about Brandy. And so it's funny because they're kind of acknowledging how irrelevant they are. But then, while doing that, they actually became better characters, and they became like just more fleshed out characters rather than just generic people who react in the first movie. So I kind of like that. I definitely like their characters a lot more in this movie. Well, until the end, of course. We'll talk. We'll talk about the ending later. Oh God. Okay, be nice. Okay, be nice. Number two. Oh, what else do I have to say that's good about this movie? God, what else is? I mean, this movie was an hour and 40 minutes, guys, and I understand this review's already 10 minutes, but just imagine sitting there for an hour and 40 minutes and nothing is happening. You're just sitting there like, I could be doing so much better things with my time right now. In fact, I was doing things while watching the movie because that's how bad the movie was. Like, usually, I'm the one, I pay attention. I keep my eyes glued to the screen so that I don't miss any important plot points. Well, with this one, like, you don't even have to watch it. You could just listen to it in the background. Um, but another good thing, I don't have any other good things to say. Okay, now for the bad. It starts off with explaining how they got out of the first movie's debacle. And how they got out is that the guys all got out mysteriously. They all got let out, I guess. And then the girl's all by herself, and police find them, and then she gets let out, I guess, before the police come, because they reveal that this whole thing has been live streamed on YouTube. Well, we never knew about that before part 2. And so they literally added that after the fact just to make more sense. And so I thought that was kind of shitty because it just took away all this scariness. And that's the thing is that another thing is that this movie really made me reevaluate the first one, because the first one, for how all right it was, it really it had it was better than this. It had some good things in it actually, and so it really almost makes me think maybe I should have made like a really nice review to the first one, because it's just so these guys are planning to go to more haunted houses because they don't really care what happened to them. They're like, that's fucked up, but who cares? We're gonna get paid this time, and so I guess that's kind of realistic. And then they have their little stick in the mud, Brandy, and I don't know what's Brandy's story. I mean, it's weird. These characters are so incomplete. They're so lacking that it's sort of hilarious, because we have this Brandy, and number one, she's dyed her hair. We don't know if that's because of the experiences in the first one. We don't know why that is. But she dyed her hair, and she's living in like this huge house, but we never see that she has any husband or children, or anything. Like, we don't, but we just don't know anything about what's going on with her in general. We don't know what's going on with any of them in general, except for the fact that she's known as Coffin Girl. Well, sorry, but Coffin Girl is not as unique of a name as Brandy is. So I'm just going to keep calling her Brandy. And so she's gotten famous on the internet, which isn't surprising, because they really, when they showed the stuff on YouTube, it literally looked like a clone of the McCamey Manor. Well, the thing is, the McCamey Manor is not. It wasn't as scary as it was disturbing. That, like, this is considered okay. Like, just the stuff they were doing, it's gross to look at. It's not really scary though, unless you're the person doing it. Ugh, ugh. I don't even want to think about McCamey Manor anymore, because that's just disgusting. So basically, they gotta just beg and plead for Brandy to go. Finally, she agrees to come, and they go to all these different types of haunted places. They go on a haunted hayride for kids, kinda. They go to a place with zombie women, or no, just women with laser boobs, which there was only one woman with laser boobs, and they were like a they were like a C minus. So I was kind of disappointed with that. That was kind of strange choice, but it had that weird feel where it didn't feel like a movie at all. It just felt like a documentary of let's check out haunted houses together. And then they go to one where Brandy sees this mannequin, and then from behind the mannequin, a guy with a skull mask appears, and it's one of the bad guys from the first movie. And it turns out it wasn't one of the workers at all. So one of the blue skeleton people was that skull person. And they're also hearing about a new haunted place called Hellbent. And it's really funny because, usually the term hellbent is used for like someone who's like really passionate about doing something. So you'd think that they would realize that hellbent would probably be code for, the blue skeleton is hellbent on revenge. I mean, it's kind of like self-explanatory, honestly. It might as well have just said this movie's haunted house attraction, like this movie's villain haunted house. Like it was that. God, this fucking movie sucked. And so then they go to more haunted places, and finally they agree they're gonna go to Hellbent, and then the haunted Hoochie, and then some other place in the weekend. And Brandy wants a pay raise. And it's funny too because we talked about the junk food in the first one. And well, in this one, they purposefully acknowledge that one of them eats healthy snacks and stuff. And I thought that was pretty funny. So, see, there were some touches in this movie that felt like they listened to the critiques of the first one, and that they sort of and there's nothing wrong with eating junk food. It was just the weird obsession with like showing, like just like that was like a weird focus of the movie when this is supposed to be a fucking horror movie, not a vlog on your YouTube channel, and so. And it wasn't made for YouTube. It was made to be put on Blu-ray and to be shown in theaters. So Safi ruins everything. Sorry, everyone. Safi's gonna ruin this review too. Oh, God, Safi. Should just kick her off the channel at this point. But then again, she's basically reflecting the disappointment of the sequel, because this sequel, then what happens is that the Hellbent people, they break in again. They do the same thing from the first one. They break in and they film them and they steal stuff, and then they drive them to the Hellbent haunted house. And then there's a twist where Brandy is the only one left. She's the final girl. And let me just say this. I hate final girls, okay? Like, final girls are the worst part about horror movies. There's nothing worse than watching a horror movie and knowing that there's that one character and you know that they're going to survive because that's the final girl. Like, what a complete waste of my time. That's not scary, that's pathetic. The only time it works is when it's a good character. And Brandy is just not a good character in the second one. I mean, she's kind of like the stick in the mud, as I said. But so she's the last one left, and she basically finds out that they're all dead. She sees all of them get brutally killed and tortured. And then she finds out that it was all a trick. It was all a prank, And the one in the first movie was a prank too, but then there was this weird thing with a gun, and like a gun trick, and like the doll headed girl, she helped her play a gun trick because she knew about the prank. It doesn't make sense at all. I mean, what a pathetic excuse for an ending. What a complete. I mean, you literally just took the big balloon and then you put a pin in it and you just watched it deflate all over the place. What a disgusting mess of a movie. And that was not scary. It was not horrifying. It was pussified horror. I mean, what kind of shit is this? How could you get scared by this wimpy little shit? Like, oh God, I hate this movie. And then that's not enough, of course. No, it can't end there. And so basically, Brandy, she's never going to talk to these guys again. She's going to go back to her, like, gigantic house, which that house was so gigantic that it basically could have been the haunted house for this movie. I'm having trouble believing that that's her house for real. Like, all these people, they're named their real names in real life, but I have trouble believing that that's her house. Did she get that house? Did she buy that house from the profits from the first movie? So, but they have this extra bit where these hooded guys are changing the sign that said Hellbent here, seek out Hellbent, and they're changing it into the blue skeleton. And oh, so I guess it was also something about like they mixed up the letters. Like, wow, it's a scramble. It's a word scramble. That's really scary. It's not just a word scramble. It's a scary word scramble. And then the last shot is these two guys in the blue skeleton masks, and the RV is going by. Like, wow, that was really, really bad. I mean, what were just first off, it's not scary. Second off, it's not scary. And third, it's not scary. At least the first one had moments where it felt like these could have been some scary moments if they were pulled off right. These had some uncomfortable moments. But then they ruined the villains too. Like in the first movie, there was an emphasis on these people being like backwoods hillbilly villains. And then in the second movie, it's like that's all thrown out the window. It's like it's so meta too. It's really meta, like where they go to these big events and they participate, and it's like they're kind of being treated like celebrities, and like at this one like food eating competition slash concert type thing, a pub crawl. I don't know what that is, a zombie pub crawl that is, but it just felt like such a mess and such a waste of time. I mean, you could have written like an actual movie, but instead you decided to play the safe route and just go even safer than the first one. I mean, the first one, it had a ton of mystery to it. And I know I said that that was a bad thing, but now that we have this, I can look back and say, like, oh, at least the first one's mystery was scarier than this stupid ass explanation of, like, the blue skeleton hired the guys from the first movie to play a prank on Brandy, and then she gets paid for it. She gets a little checky poo. And it's like, what a stupid idea. What a completely stupid idea. And you know what? I've seen it done better. I've seen that same story where we see, like, we think something is a real experience and then we find out it's just a game, it's just a prank. And it was really good. It was like a short film made by Collative Learning, Rob Ager, called The Sex Game. And it was a fantastic little short film. And that short film was better than these two entire movies combined. And it was actually scarier too. So beat that. And I think it cost even less money too. Because, God, I wonder how much money it cost to do these movies. Because it was really not worth it. I mean, I would not even consider these movies. I would consider these like experiments. And it's sad because I liked the actors, quote unquote actors, because I don't know if they're really actors or not. But I liked them in the second movie. I thought that they felt like better characters, and I liked the premise, as I said, of the first movie. They don't expand upon that either. Like in the second movie, you'd think that that would be a plot point. You know, the first movie they talked about who really works at haunted houses. Like what are the types of people who work there? Oh, in the second movie, they don't even care anymore. Like it's basically like they gave up. They don't care. So why should we care? And so, you know what I would rate this movie? I wish I could just rate it a big fuck you, because that's what it felt like. It was another fuck you. The ending, it was even more of a fuck you because they had these like multiple twists that all happened at once, and they were not good. They were very, very lame, very childish, very, very like first grade level writing. Like, this is the type of story that I would write in first grade. Like, okay, kids, here's your daily assignment. Write a scary story. And then you have little Marco writing The House is October Built, Part 2, Hellbent. And the teacher would be like, ooh, Marco, that's really scary. That's what this movie felt like. It just felt like a complete just trash, complete trash. I wouldn't even consider it a movie too. Like, I'm having trouble considering it a movie because of how not a movie it was. So I would rate this movie. You know what my least favorite chips are? This is a dedication to the first movie and the first movie's constant, eating junk food and shit. I rate this movie Funyuns. I hate Funyuns. There is nothing I hate worse than Funyuns. Well, you know what is worse than Funyuns, in a way? Funyuns that have been left out and are stale. I had stale Funyuns once. Oh, it makes me want to puke. In fact, there's a part in this movie where the guys puke from eating brains, doing a brain eating contest, which is also funny because they could have literally done that in the haunted house, like forced them to eat brains. Like that, oh, that would have been so scary and so like just hard to watch. It would have been like really good. But they did and they didn't even show the brains up close or anything. That was trash too. God damn, this movie sucks. But Funyuns. Funyuns are gross. Why would you want a Funyun when you could have onion rings? Onion rings are good themselves. Why would you want to have these gross, sticky, salty, trash, cardboard circles? So I rate this movie, the part 2, a bag of stale Funyuns. It's the first movie and they just left it out and said, here, you want some more of this, but it's gonna be even worse. So yeah, I'm really disappointed in this movie. I hope that the people who made it go on to do better horror movies, because they do seem like they could do it if they wanted to. But they need to make an actual movie. They can't do this again where it's like a vlog and it's like, hey everybody, like it would basically be like the equivalent of me and Safi going to haunted houses, and then there being some stupid ass plot in the background where like, oh no, there's a haunted house stalking us. that would be trash too. That's basically what these movies are. So, please like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, tell me what you thought about the sequel, because I don't think I remember this guy praising the sequel. I think he talked about the first one being good, which I hope he hasn't seen the sequel, because the sequel's just, ugh. And it's 10 minutes longer than the first one, too. Like, that was torture. Thanks a lot. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more movie reviews, honest movie reviews. And sorry about Safi's interruptions. She will definitely pay for it when we review Wishbone Frankenstein episode. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.